When I was in my early 20s, I remember opening newspapers and seeing headlines like student bags 1 crore package, student bags 1.5 crore package, campus placement record broken again. And every single time I read that, one thought came to my mind. This is not my league. This is not my league. I was studying, I was working hard, but I was surrounded by people who were clearly smarter than me. And the people who were bagging all these big offers were somewhere in the different colleges. So I thought, if I am not able to compare with these people around me, how am I going to beat those people who are bagging these offers, humongous offers? Because the people surrounded by me were scoring better, they spoke better, they looked more confident, they cracked interviews easily. And I kept thinking, if I am already behind them here, how am I ever going to reach the level of those who are bagging these humongous offers of 1 crore and everything? Back then, social media was not even there. I mean, even if it was there, it was very small. We didn't use it much. Still, just reading those news articles was enough to make me really small. It made me feel really small at the time. And today, I think it is much worse. Now, for you guys, you open LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and you see people talking about insane salaries. Like AI engineers, startups are there, sign on bonuses that sounds real, unreal, absolute unreal. Like, millions and billions of dollars are we talking about here. And earlier it was, say, 1 crore rupees. Now it is the numbers that don't even feel real anymore. Like, even for me now, I don't feel those real if anyone is talking about $1 billion of salaries. And if you are in your 20s right now, I can almost feel this thought has crossed your mind, because I was there. I have felt that. What am I doing with my life anyways? I remember that thought coming to my mind, because I used to think the same way, reading all these newspapers. I genuinely believed that people who got those offers belong to totally different world, like different colleges, different intelligence, they had different confidence, different destiny. I just thought that these people are different. I never imagined I would work in Silicon Valley in United States. I never thought that. I never imagined I would sit in meetings with people who once felt completely out of reach. Never imagined that. I never imagined I would hold these leadership roles in large global companies, Fortune 500 companies, leading, big teams, cross-functional teams. I never thought that. Not because I lacked ambition, but because at that stage, the gap just felt impossible. Absolutely felt impossible. Here is something important I understood much later, going through the grind of, career. Those headline numbers you see, the headline numbers that we see, they are not benchmarks. They are not benchmarks. They are exceptions. One person, two people out of an entire country we are talking about, right? But when you are young, your mind does something very dangerous at that time. It takes rare exceptions and turns them into expectations. And then it turns normal progress into failure. Even today, people believe that if you study at a top institute, success is guaranteed. That is simply not true. Simply not true. Over the years, I have known people from India who are from IITs and IIMs, and in United States from, Stanfords and Harvards, and other countries as well, who struggled. I have spoken to graduates from premium institutes, even here in the United States, who were confused, anxious, and job hunting for months before they got it. The headlines never talk about them. They never talk about them because struggle does not trend. What trends is? The trends is rarity. Anything that is rare, that trends. And the more you consume those rare stories, the more distorted your self-image becomes. I want you to understand something very clearly here. Very clearly. You are not competing with the top 0.01% of the country. You are not competing with them. You never were. You are competing with your environment. Your access, wherever you are, your starting point, your responsibilities. Now, when I finally reached the same companies I once thought were impossible, Absolutely impossible when I once thought. It did not happen the way I imagined. It did not happen the way I imagined. I thought when I would get it, it would be like a breakthrough moment in my career. But there was no dramatic moment, no overnight transformation, no single breakthrough. It happened slowly, quietly, through routes I could never have planned in my 20s. I could have never planned in my 20s. The destination looked similar. The destination looked similar with what everyone else were thinking, with those 0.01% people, right? The journey was completely different, even though the destination looked similar. This is something that nobody kind of prepares us for. At least for me, I remember I should have known this before. You assume that if someone reaches a place before you, they are ahead forever. That is not how careers work. That is not how careers work. Some people sprint early, right? Some people walk longer. The problem starts when you judge your entire future based on where you are at, say 21, 22, 25 years old. That age is terrible for prediction. Absolutely terrible for prediction. I can totally say that. You have limited information, limited exposure, limited perspective. Yet you are making lifelong conclusions. Lifelong conclusions. And social media these days makes this worse. I'm glad we didn't have that much of social media at the time. But for you guys, it is there. And the beast of social media makes this worse. Earlier you saw one headline a year, right? I would used to see one headline just once a year that someone got these humongous offers. But now you see it every 10 days. Every 10 days you would see that. And your brain does not know how to process that volume. So it does the easiest thing. What it does? It turns the comparison into self-doubt. I'm not saying those high achievers do not deserve what they got. They absolutely do what they are deserving. They absolutely do. I'm saying you don't need to use their story to disqualify your story. Most successful careers do not look impressive at the beginning. They do not look impressive at the beginning. Most of them. They look confusing, uneven, slow. I have the same story. Even I was not successful at start. I was so confused at the time. That does not mean those people are failing. It means they are normal. They are normal. If I could go back and tell my younger self one thing, it would be this. Stop treating rare outcomes as minimum requirements. That's the trap. You don't need to catch up with someone whose starting line was different. You need to build something sustainable for yourself, right? Now, when I have worked with those people who got those things and I have interacted with them, now I get it. And sustainability never makes headlines, right? It would never make a headline, but it doesn't make sense. If you are feeling disheartened reading all those success stories right now, all those humongous packages and roles, it does not mean you are behind. I want you to understand. It does not mean you are behind. It means you are just human trying to grow in your career. Focus on what you can control, right? Your skills, your consistency, your decisions over time, all those things that will help you. Careers are long games. Remember that. They don't reward panic. They reward persistence. And if this kind of helped you see things a little more clearly, make sure you are writing what you are feeling right now in the comments so that I also understand exactly what you are feeling. I am talking and remembering what I felt when I was in my 20s and went through this.